Hey guys, this is Mike. I just wanted to do a video wrap up here on today's live trade idea that I sent out early this morning, my time here. So I wanted to do a little bit extra in this video so we can also understand how these alerts are coming to you, how they function, how they work. And again, it's a growing process for all of us. It's not an easy thing to do. I'll be honest with you. Today was a lot of pressure in many ways of just getting everything out for you guys, executing on my own, getting blog posts up. So give us time, give me time to get better at it. Again, it will only get easier and better for us as we go. But today was a good trade, and hopefully some of you benefited off it or follow along to learn something here. So first thing I want to go over is the alert itself. So again, I have it set so I will receive my own alerts just so I can make sure they're going out. I know a few of you may have run into a little some bumps here with your spam folders collecting us. Again, just make sure we're not blacklisted with your email client. And then we're going to go over how to make sure also your emails and texts are set up correctly here. So again, here was the first alert this morning, again around 7 a.m. I set an alert, and again, I just want to explain the terminology just in case any of you don't understand. I think it's pretty easy, but let's go over it. So again, you're going to get an alert from the actual email address is no reply at James16group.com. And again, that's just the automated message that sends out. So if you try to reply to that, nothing's going to happen, guys. And what it will always come with is the tagline of J16 LTI, which is live trade idea. Again, these are ideas, these are educational, these are what I'm doing or an instructor is doing. I take no responsibility for what you guys decide to do with this information. We just have to legally be smart about it. And to protect us and protect you guys. This is an educational website. These are educational ideas. But nevertheless, let's keep going here. Then I put MBQB so you would know it was for me. Sell market USD Norwegian or NOK at 8.9324 or better. So what that means is I used a market order to sell, and when I sent it out, price for me was at 8.9324. And what I'm basically saying by or better is if you get that alert, make sure you're not selling underneath 8.9324, because then you're getting a worse entry than I'm trying to get out for you guys. And I want you to be able to follow along my trade idea as closely as possible. So again, that's very critical. I'm going to show you what I do, and I'm going to do it in real time and send these alerts when I can. And what you guys choose to do with them on your own, I don't know. I can't be there looking over your shoulder. So instead, you're looking over my shoulder. SL stands for stop loss at 8.9954. And a take profit here at 8.85. So again, that was the first signal that went out at 7:04, quickly followed up by another alert at 7:16, which updated my stop loss, which moved my stop loss down, followed by another alert about an hour later, which updated my stop again, which we're going to go over. My reduction in stop loss is a key component to my success as a trader. Followed by another alert to move my take profit, which actually I shifted my take profit up a little bit higher than I initially had it, and we'll go over that. Followed by another update here of another stop loss update, and then finally the trade being closed out right here when it hit my take profit here. So again, those are the alerts just so you can see them here. Now let's go over where else I was posting today. So in tandem with sending out these alerts, I try to, because I wanted to be extra detailed with my first one here, is post in real time on my blog as well too. So if we go ahead here and pull up the blog, which I'm going to do for you guys right now, you will see, and here's the blog. I'm going to go to the members area here. You can see the latest post where I was basically just going through it. So here was my first post, which was just, okay, here's the current trade idea on the USD Norwegian. It's 4-hour bearish outside bar on the break of the rising trend line with great divergence. This stems from this post here. So I had originally posted previously that I was watching the USD Norwegian with divergence, and again, you can go find that chart and exactly what I was looking for here. And this is what I do, guys. I plan my trades. I'm trying to think about important areas here. And, we're going to do that together. You're going to be able to spot this on your own. You're going to be able to find these important points in the marketplace. So, again, what you can see here, and we'll start here, was this idea of divergence, right? So every time price is making these new highs, it retreats, makes these new highs and retreats, makes these new highs and retreats, makes these new highs and retreats. So the key here was this rising trend line, which is capping the selling. So buyers are coming in here. We have a strong uptrend, but the momentum is weakening to the upside. Again, this is divergence here. I'm just simply not using an indicator, which again, you can read more about in my tutorial section on how to spot divergence without an indicator. So when this area here can break, when we can get under this area here, it's likely that the sellers are going to take charge. So again, all I said here was I will now watch for price action around here as a final, and it got cut off here as a final trigger is what it said there. So again, I'm going to X out of this. Then of course this morning we got our price action. So I'm going to work through these charts for you guys. Again, they go right in line with the live trade ideas, which we're going to come back to in a second as well. So that was the chart that I had just put into my intraday section of something I was watching. Well, this morning we got the trigger. So I posted up, and again, this can be found as well in my blog. If you go to my blogs and you go to live trade ideas, you're going to find that same information here, right? So it's just in chronological order. So we can start here as well. Here's the first post. And again, like we said, it stems from here. Here's my order, which is what I sent out at the same time to the group, just so you guys can, follow along, learn a little bit. If you do well off of something, obviously, that's the hopes as well. But again, look at the trigger we got. We got this big bearish outside bar. So exactly what we're looking to happen here. Price tries to retest this high again, right? It starts looking like it's going to push higher, and then boom, shoots strongly down, closing underneath the trend line and underneath this pivot zone. So my job here is simple. It's execution, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I sold right here because we're near that trend line. And then I'm going to stick my stop above the bearish outside bar. Now, the reason you see my stop a little bit higher here, guys, is the USD Norwegian has a little bit of a higher spread. You have to be aware of that. Again, this might be a little advanced for some of you, but I break it down in the tutorial section. You have to understand bid-ask dynamics, how they play into your trading. You're going to sell on the bid. You're going to buy back on the ask. So if I'm selling here on the bid, there's a floating ask price that's always going to be here. So I just want to be cautious, right? This is how I get my position size. And this is some of what was very tricky for me today to do all of this at once. I can't promise that I'm always going to be able to do charts in real time along with the alerts, or that sometimes I might just be able to do charts and not alerts. It's going to be a process. It's going to be just ways to get you guys the information. I promise to do my best, but some situations are easier and some are harder. So my initial risk here is 3%. And anybody who follows me will understand my risk management and my position size, and that generally on a full bar, I'm going to use 3%. On a deep retrace, I'm going to use half of this. And then on touch trades, I range anywhere from 0.25% to 1%. So again, I'm not going to send out risk of what I'm taking, because I don't want that responsibility of what you do with this information. Again, it's educational, it's an idea, and it's just what I'm doing. So again, it's important that you guys understand that. So again, this gets me my initial position size here. Now, understanding this setup here, we know that this rising trend line and this pivot zone, again, it's a zone within here, should hold us. So I don't want to take a 3% loss. And this is what people are missing all the time, is the idea of dynamic risk reward. Again, a lot of concepts I'm throwing at you guys, and if you're new, you're probably going to be scratching your head. Go through the tutorials slowly. I promise it's going to make a lot of sense very quickly. But 3% is just to get my initial position size. In a trade like this, I know that I should really be looking to cut out somewhere around here, right? So if price wants to retrace, retest this trend line, that's fine. But if it gets too far up here, we need to start to cut out around here. So if we look at that dynamically, our stop loss at worst should exit us somewhere around here if it just shoots straight up higher. Okay, so maybe I take a half bar loss, maybe at most say a 2% loss of the initial 3%. This is the dynamic part. I'm always thinking about this, right? Cutting my losses and letting my winners run. Now, initially I set a take profit down here, right near the big round number of 8.85, just above this resistance area, which it has a good chance to get to, but I often will move my take profits too based on information that comes into the market, based on how I'm feeling about the trade and the situation. So again, dynamically, initially it looks like, okay, my risk is 3% and my initial take profit will take me here and I'll gain, I don't know, 6% or a little bit under 6%. Again, I don't view it like that. I don't view it as it's one or the other. It's not I lose or I win. It's modify my trade and my stop loss to protect myself so I can reduce my losses and take profit at the place that's logical based on the information that comes in. So again, this was the first alert that went out. And then I sent out an update pretty shortly after here. So let's go back to the next chart here, which is, again, part 2, where basically once I sent the alert out, we had a big snapback here against us. And I will be honest, I do believe, because I had emails from a lot of you who decided to follow along on your own risk, that this pretty much coincided with that. The USD Norwegian dollar is not the most liquid pair. It's not illiquid by any means. It's certainly a big market. But in the very, very short term, if we're executing a lot of units into the market, we could push the market against us. So this is something I have to be aware of, and you guys have to be aware of that. I think this retraced a little bit more than it needed to. Again, I'm not going to make the claim that we did that as a group or anything like that, but just keep an eye on that, guys. So basically what I set out at this point was that same idea. We started to pull back here, and I said, all right, listen, if it goes too much further here, I have to cut out, right? This trend line will show me it's not holding. This pivot zone here is not holding. I need to get out of it. So again, what I did here is I reduced nearly half my risk. I left open about, I believe it was roughly about 1.6%, maybe a little bit higher there. And I said, all right, listen, if it can't hold here, let me cut out. But again, you got to give it a little leeway, right? Price is not perfect, especially on a pair like the USD Norwegian dollar. Things overshoot, right? You have wicks that extend through. So I wasn't worried, but at the same time, I know I still need to protect myself. I do not want to take that full 3% loss. So now think about my risk dynamically now that my stop loss moved. And this is what people don't do. I think it is the most misunderstood topic about risk reward. People think of it as a fixed thing. I never think of my risk as fixed. I think of it as money management and risk management. So I knew risk management wise that I was going to get my stop down pretty quickly. Even if it just took right off, then okay, I'll get it down even further. So now my risk is roughly, say, 1.6%, and I still have my full open target in there. So if you really want to look at risk reward, then wouldn't you say, well, this is fantastic risk reward, right? Now you're risking 1.6 to gain, let's say, 5 or 6%. Well, that's special. That's something that can change your trading, guys, if you think about your risk and reward in that way. And I always do, and you will see that. And I hope it really does improve your trading here. So again, sent that alert out. Got some of our risk off the table, which is important. Always feels good to do that. Never want to take full bar losses if you can avoid them. So, okay, next chart came out here. This is part 3. And this is where price started to turn down in our favor here. Okay, so again, these charts I posted as I sent the alerts out. Again, I don't know if I can always do that. It's a lot of work. Again, so this time I reduced my risk a little bit more because as price turned down now, so the trend line held, the pivot zone held, we started to turn down. Now we have a very established swing point or established high. Price should not have to come back up again, test that high, and then pull back down again. Likely I'm in trouble at that point. So yes, it was a very small reduction. And some of you might have seen the alert and gone, I mean, he barely moved his stop. But I did move my stop. And it took another 0.1% off the table and basically put me at exactly half my risk at this point. So again, everything counts. It's about being logical. I don't need to move my stop for any other reason than logic. And if logic says to keep it, I keep it. If logic says to move it, I move it. Even if it's just another 0.1% off the table. So again, feeling pretty good at this point with this trade. Divergence kicking in, bearish outside bar kicking in. Some of you might have got a deeper retrace entry. Again, this one to me needed to be done on the close. It was really right near this trend line here. And if it has a deeper retrace, that's okay sometimes too. Okay, so let's go on to the next chart here, guys. And again, you can read up about this stuff too if you want. This is part 4, where we're almost done here, where price starts to drop back down, and I do not move my stop loss at this point. And I had some questions of him, like, why aren't you moving your stop loss? Aren't we really close to your take profit? And again, the reason is we have that spread. So, you know, you can imagine an ask line sort of sitting above here. And it was very possible price might want to pull back up again, retest this pivot, and drop down again. So where can I really move my stop? It's either go to break even and just hope it drops down, which is fine. Some of you guys are going to choose to do your own things. But I'm very comfortable sort of leaving this situation. And what I basically do is I set an alarm around my entry so I can gauge if I need to cut out. But again, left my stop loss in place here. Well, but what I did do here is I moved my take profit up to underneath this low. And again, you might decide to hold it. You know, I do a variety of things. It's the first trade of the year for me, the first trade of the month. It's getting later in the day where I know the spread's going to start to widen into the rollover, which is when the U.S. market starts to close down here. So I believe that I'd rather go here and take my profit at this first major trouble area, which is an easy way to do that is the major touches of a trend line. So here's a major trouble area. Here's a major trouble, and here's your super duper trouble down here, right? So I'd rather take my profit at this major first trouble area, right? And be happy with that profit, which is a good profit here, right? It's about 1.7%, a little bit over. So again, now my risk reward is still over 1-to-1, but I also am not really looking to take that loss here either. I'm just willing to allow the market, if it wants to turn here, retest and create another high, to do that, and then I'll move my stop above there. So sometimes I don't move my stop, but I'm watching an area very closely. Again, is it possible this thing can shoot straight up in the blink of an eye and take me out for that 1.5% loss? Absolutely. I understand that. I understand what my risk is with my trades and how I have to think about that risk. And again, I'm going to work you guys towards understanding that for yourselves on your own trades, the things that you're going to do, and it's very helpful here. So again, shifted my take profit up, sent out the next alert here. Again, each of these posts was an alert. Sent out this next alert here, which is, whoops, sorry about that, guys, part 5, where we're about to hit my take profit. That's when I decided to move my stop loss down. Again, just remove a large portion of my stop. At this point, my risk is about 0.6%, a little bit over. So again, dynamically, my risk has gone from 3% to 0.6% while maintaining my take profit level or my take profit idea. So, you know, in theory, you have to think about risk reward as dynamic, because now my risk is this and my reward is this. I know some of you have a hard time doing that because you're going to go back and say, no, your risk was this, Mike, right? This was your risk to get now to gain this. But that's not true. And I really, truly hope you come into this with an open mind and not what you hear out there as being what you need to do, right? People say you must have a risk reward of 2-to-1, or you need to make 3 for every one you risk. And that's fine if you do that and it works for you. But if you're struggling, which many of you are, and that's why you're here, come to this with an open mind, go through the tutorials on dynamic risk reward, and look at your trades from a different light. I promise you will now be able to utilize the old cliche of cut your losses, let your winners run. That's what I did here. I cut my losses and let my winners run here. So again, that's the last alert I sent out before we actually hit my take profit, which again, you can see here, price dipped even a little bit lower. You know, it will, there's a very good chance we will come here, but there's also a good chance that we might say pull back now and then come down. So this situation to me evolved in a way that this to me was the best way to take profit. Again, this isn't as much of a breakout trade as say a breakout pattern. I tend to say they have a slightly different dynamic, and thus as a trader, I like to treat them a little bit different here. But again, a really nice trade, a good way to start the year. Hopefully you got to follow along. I just want to clarify one thing in here so you guys have a little bit better idea of how to use this alert. So if you go to your alert section here under live trade ideas and you come down to your list, what you're going to see is all those messages that I sent to, and they're time-stamped, verifiable. Again, right now I'm just blanking out my actual phone number here. Not that it matters, but just because who knows where this stuff goes to. So I'm just blanking out my number. But again, these are your email addresses where it's going. You have a primary and a secondary that you can put into your settings here. So if you come to your settings at the top, you'll see again the same thing here, where of course you had to opt in to receive them. You get a primary email and a secondary, where again I have one go to my email and one go to my phone for text. Again, you have to see if your phone's able to accept it from an email address, and then you might have text message rates that apply to it. Those are all things that you guys need to take care of and investigate on your own. But again, really simple here to track these, to get in, get on the list here so that you receive them. And again, guys, just if you were able to benefit from this trade, you were blessed, you followed me, you did well. You come here to the trade donation button. Click trade donation will bring you to this screen here. Again, we're trying to keep this so it's the James 16 way and keep this donation based, so we don't have to charge money for this service. I think if everybody does their part too, while we do our part, and you're blessed along with us, that you'll come here, you'll make a donation. You just click here to make a donation. Again, we'll bring you to the payment screen here, and just go from there. So again, hopefully this video helped, guys. I'm really excited about all these new features that we're able to offer you. And of course, if you have any questions, just email me anytime.